So this is what the assignment is all about. I can't remember the way I allowed people to
You're
join.
not sharing your screen.
I'm not sharing. Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry. Entire screen right away. Okay. Let me know if you can see my screen now.
Yes.
Okay. So the assignments, the workbook assignments, I jotted this out based on the lecturer's what's it called in class, what he said in class that day. So I was able to jot this out so that it can be helpful. So what is expected? I'm going to show you two things. The first one will be what is expected, and the second one will be the code base. So which I've actually written out such that it's going to be easier for us to be able to understand and also be able to use it. So in the workbook, for all the experiments, what is required of us is the specification. And according to what the lecturer explained that in class, he said the specification will be the requirements, like what's your program is, the requirement for your program, like what are the inputs and what are the what's it called, the processes and also the outputs, which is the expectations. Then the second one, which is analysis. So here is where you are going to like analyze what you've done. So you are going to discuss the inputs, you discuss the outputs, and also how the process went and the connection between the inputs and the outputs. And probably if there are some calculations in between, you discuss it. Then the other page is on design or the signaling or what they write. So here, this is where you are going to like use flowcharts, or you can also explain your design. Like you can use anything, like you can use designs like UML designs, you can use flowcharts, you can use boxes and all that, and you can also use sentences to explain how your system, how your program is designed. Then the next one is the implementation, and this is where you write your code, right? So the last one is the testing, and if you can see in the textbook, for every what's it called? What do they call it? For everything, let me see if there is a name. Sorry, for all the listings, yes, because it was using listing. For all the listings in the book, there's always a tester class. So, and this tester class is okay. You've written your code. How do you test it? You said this code is going to add two numbers together. So here is where you're going to test. If you input 2 and 4, then the code is going to like give you 6. So this is where you're going to test it, and it's just like explaining what is happening there. Or probably some people write code for this, but then personally, I think this is just you explaining like, okay, if I provide 2 numbers to my program, it's going to generate so results. Then the last one, which is the design issues. So this is where you're going to be juxtaposing both languages. Like, okay, we've done this in Python, we did this in Java. Then what are the differences? One of them is, okay, maybe Java is statically typed and Python is dynamic, and Java is is rigid, and Python is flexible and all that. So that is the explanation for the for each of the experiments. So we can just take it one after the other, because I want us to finish by at least maximum 8, because I need to read. So we can just take it one after the other. So the first experiment, which is on page 9, right? So I might not be able to show my book because I don't have the soft copy, but I believe we all have the book, so I'll just be explaining and I believe we are on the same page. So on experiments, the first experiment, which is implement the Q abstract data type in Java and Python. So I shared the link with us where okay, yes. So I don't know if you can still see my screen. Hello, let me know if
Yes, you can.
Okay, so sorry, let me check if there are people waiting to join the call. I wrote some gists, so I was able to like write out all the codes in the book, all the codes in the book. So I wrote them in this GitHub gist. So I separated them. We have the one for Java and we have the one for Python here. So that it's going to be easier for us when we are trying to like test things out on our systems. So instead of writing them out one after the other, I just took the time. So for the first one, I wouldn't be explaining all these one after the other. I'll just go straight to the experiments. And if you check the code base, I've taken my time to add comments to each line such that you understand what is actually happening. For example, if you check at this, if you look at, let me just zoom this out so that it will be bigger. Yep. So if you check this line number 4, which is writing a stack class, so I explain what is happening here with the comments. And if you are in the session that we did that day, I explain what comments are and the usefulness. So this is one of the usefulness of using comments in code base. So like, I wrote it out like, here you are defining this line, particularly this line is, you are defining a class named stack. Then under line, I said you are declaring an integer variable n and initializing it to be 5. This is representing the maximum size of the stack. Then here, I explain what is happening. So I did that for all the lines, like all the lines. So if you take your time to go through, like some people have been asking me like, are they going to be cramming code base and all that? To me, it's not efficient and not effective. It's not possible to be cramming code. Well, some people are like gifted, but I mean, I have a very lazy brain. The best is just to understand what is happening, then understand what is going on, and you'll be able to like, if you ask for anything, you'll be able to like write them out. So what I can say is, when you're giving a code base, Java, if you're writing, what's it called in Java? Everything in Java is like a class. Let me put it that way. So if you're writing your class, you're starting with public class. So public means it's going to be accessible publicly, and class is just saying this is a class. And the name of your class, it can be anything. It can be Ridwan, it can be Babatunde, it can be Balogun, it can be anything. So fight is what's it called? It's something you can understand, right? And in the first session we did, I explained some things about data types like integer, booleans, and all that. And in Java, if you want to like write a variable, you have to define the data type. Is it going to be an integer? So here it's saying this is an integer, and the name of the variable is n, and what we are saving inside them is 5. So I don't think I should be going through all this again. And there is one thing that is peculiar to Java. For every line of code, you have to end it with a semicolon. You must end it with a semicolon. If you don't, you are telling the computer to continue. Like the next line is going to be like the same line with the previous one. So you adding a semicolon means you are done with this line and you're moving to the next one. So then inside your class, you can have different methods, which I explained in the initial class we did. And your methods can be anything depending on whatever thing you want to use them for. And I gave an analogy of what a method is. So a method is something like you can reuse it over and over again. You can call it anywhere. And I can remember in that session, I mentioned like I gave an analogy of this block industry, people that mold blocks with cement and all that. Like they have something called a pattern or a template that they can use to mold thousands or millions of blocks, right? So you can see the same, that they can reuse it. And I can remember I made mention of spoon also, like in your kitchen you have spoon and you can reuse the spoon over and over again. Not like you have to be going to the factory to buy new spoon anytime you need a spoon, right? So that is a method, and in some other languages they call them functions, but in Java they call them methods. So, and there's something peculiar to methods. So when you are writing your method, you must define what type of method is it. Is it public? Like it can be accessible by any other class, like outside this class it can be accessible. And we have different types of, they call them modifiers or something. We have public, we have private and all that. Then there is something here which is void. What does void means? Void means this method is not returning anything. We are not expecting it to return anything. We just expect it to do something and move on, right? Then we have the name of the method. Like I said, this can be anything. It can be read one, it can be anything, but you have to make sure the name is something like, when you look into your code base, maybe 1,000 years later, you should be able to remember what this particular method is doing. So like variables, that, you know, we give them names so that we'll be able to reference them, like refer to them later. Like I want to call, for example, I'm human. So how do you call me? You call me read one. So if you want to call read one to do something for you, you say read one, please give me something, right? So the same thing here, you are giving this particular method a name, such that when you want to call them, you know what the computer understand what you are referencing. So that's why we have, and you know, the analogy is we have a lot of things. We have cars, and each cars have names. You have BMW, you have Toyota, and all that. So they have a name such that when you are now referring to it, the computer will understand what you're actually referring to, and we call it invocation, or maybe when you're calling that method. Then inside the method, another thing that follows is this parenthesis, and you will notice something. A class doesn't have any parentheses in front of it, but a method inside this class has parentheses, right? Because you want to call it, right? So, and one thing is, I think I've omitted, like there is this thing, this curly brackets. So these curly brackets in programming, they call them block of code. Like this is housing, this is like a container that contains your code. And you notice like even this method, it has its own block of code, right? Then inside these parentheses, we have something called parameters. So these parameters, depending on how you structure your program, depending on what you want this to do, this is saying that this particular method called push is expecting something, which is an item, and it must be a type of integer. There are some methods, like it's not compulsory, like all methods should have parameters. Like if you look at this pop, it's not asserting anything. Or if you look at this, it's asserting something. So this is saying like, for someone to call read one, you must have something you want to give to read one, maybe money. So if you don't call read one, okay, for example, your ATM machine, if you want to use the ATM machine, it must accept something, which is your ATM card, right? And not all things accept ATM cards. There are other machines that do not accept ATM cards. So this is saying this is how you are designing your program to run, your method in this case. And after this parenthesis, we have this block of code. So this block of code is saying that everything I want to run, how you want this particular method to function, the particular operation you want it to perform, everything should be inside this block of code. So I just want you to understand this, because some people have been saying like, are they going to cram? You don't have to cram, just understand this. You have public void. If it's not returning anything, then the name of the method, then whatever thing that is expecting, and your block of code. So inside these curly brackets, that is where you write everything you want this particular method to perform. So for example, we are saying this is push, and push, at least in the real sense, means you are pushing something into something. So what are you pushing? You are pushing this item, which is an integer, into something. So what is that thing? This is where you are going to define that thing. So I believe this is pretty straightforward. Then like I've done in the previous ones, I added the comments. Someone wants to say something? Yeah. So the same thing for this pop, and you can see like there's something common with all these methods. They have public, void. So this one, like I said, it's not returning anything, but this one is, we are expecting it to return something. What are we expecting it to return? We are expecting it to return an integer, right? So like you can see the return keyword is there. It must return something, which means if you call this method, you are getting something back as a result. If you call this method, you're not getting anything back. It's just performing its operation and moving on with life. Then you can see other methods follow the same. There's a template for them. Public something, then the name of your method, your parentheses, then your curly brackets, and inside the curly brackets, your program, and that's it. So, and you can see here, we have something here. Something is different about this. We do not add public to it. And I wrote a comment here such that you understand what is going on and the reason why this public wasn't written at the back of this, right? This is a private method. You can see, I wrote it there. It's a private method because you only want it to function inside this particular class, right? And I think it might be confusing. Why this? Is there somewhere else you can call this method? Yes, that's where the inheritance and all that comes into play, whereby you are inheriting some properties, right? So the reason is, let's say read one, there are some things private to read one that even if I give birth to a child that looks like me, they cannot inherit those things. One of them is, I think, the thumbprints and some other things. They are just private to me, right? There are some other things they can inherit, maybe my DNA, my height, my facial look, and all that. So that is why we have all this public and all that, so that when you are using it, depending on where you want to use it and how you want to use it, so you can just design your program anyhow you like. So everything follows the same way, and that's it. Then back to the assignments, right? So I'll just leave this because I've explained all this before in the previous session we had, and this is for Java. I can go back to.
Sorry.
Yeah, you go on, please.
Sorry to cut you short. I have a quick question.
Yeah, make it quick.
So regarding the parts that you made private, right? The empty and full.
Yeah.
Just those two.
Yeah.
So does that mean that even if you declare it as a public function, it will still work correctly?
Yeah, it will work. This is just saying that, okay, you have a restroom, right? Your restroom can be private or can be public, depending on how you build your own house. So if you make it private, maybe you have a party and you want to make it public for that purpose, you just say, okay, because the one we made public is full, for whatever purpose, you can just decide to make it public. So this is based on your own design, like you as a programmer, how you want to use it. It is not set in stones, like it must be private or it must be public. So this is just depending on how you want to use it. So if it's not necessary, like I said, okay, how can I use it? I have a compound and there is outside. I want it to be public so that anybody can access it. But my own room, I don't want anybody to go there. So I can just say, okay, this is private, staff only. You must not enter. But that doesn't make it a room. It's still a room with all its properties and operations going on, right? So that is that about. One thing I want to point out is this void and this data types. If your function, depending on what is given to us in the exam, if it's not returning anything, there is no return statement or something, then definitely it must be void because you're not expecting it to return anything. But if it is returning something like this one, what is it returning? Item is an integer here. So definitely this is returning an integer and your return type should be integer. If you look at this is a boolean. And here we are saying it must return, and if you can see there's an operational, what's it called? They call it operational something. So like this is saying top is less than or equals to 0. So this is going to return true or false. So which is a boolean, and we are returning boolean here. The same thing with is full. Top is equals to 5. This is saying is top equals to 5. If it is false or true, then your return type is boolean. The same thing. And here, this display, we are not returning anything. It's just printing out something, right? So like I said, you can take your time to go through the comments, and maybe once you go through one and maybe two and others, you understand like there is a particular pattern every program is following. Like, everything is just the same. Like this one too. This is Q, which is our experiment. So back to the assignments. Okay, sorry, I wanted to go to Java and Python before. So in Java, you can see like the way they declare or the way they write a class in Java, it follows a particular pattern. Just your public class, then the name of your class. It could be anything. Then your curly brackets and all the operations inside. So in Python, it is different. We don't have public class in Python, just class. Python don't get time at all. So just write class, then the name of the class, then your colon, and inside your colon, you write your code base. So one thing that differentiates Python from Java is the way they write their block of code. In Python, because I saw it in one of the questions, 803 questions. In Python uses indentation. But in Java uses, this curly block of code. You can put your int under this P. You can write this int 5 anywhere you like. So far it falls inside this curly bracket, it still goes. But in Python, you have to indent. Like, you have to use your tab on your system, your laptop. So if let me see if I can do what's it called? If I can do a demo, but I don't think it's necessary. Okay, let's just move it. Oops, I have a lot going on. No. Okay. So this is Python. Gosh. So in Python, you have to use your indentation. For example, if I want to write a class in Python, right? If I write class read1 here, and I do this, if I press enter, if I write here, this is wrong, right? I have to indent by using my tab, and this is right. So you can see the difference. Versus Java. In Java, you have to so far it's inside your curly brackets, you are good to go. You can write anything here, int, read1, oops, wait a minute. Okay, sorry. You can just do int, you can write it anywhere. I can write int read1 equals 5, and it still goes. No problem, no wahala. But in Python, you have to indent. So you have to pay attention to that. So those are just one of the differences in Python and Java. The second difference is, instead of writing all these class, public, the return type and all that, in Python, you do not need that. Because Python is dynamically typed, and Java is statically typed. What that means is, you have to follow, there is this English, opinionated or something. You have to follow the way it must be done, else you'll be running into errors. Though they are very similar, the differences are just the syntaxes, and that's it. So in Python, for you to write a class, just write class, then the name of the class, then your indentation, your colon, then enter and write other things. So in Python, if you want to write a method or function, you use def, D-E-F, def. In Java, if you want to write a method, you do all these scenarios. So once you write the def, and okay, for example, look at this push. It's pretty straightforward with Python, just 2 lines of code and we are done. So if I want to write my method to add element to the stack, yes, go ahead, sir. Hello, sir. Okay, we can just move on. So in Python, if you want to write the same method for push, just this keyword, yes. So we call this keyword, def, then the name of your method, then this self. So in Python, how do I explain this like this? So in Java, there's something called constructor, which we will soon get to when we get to all these inheritance and all that. But in Python, the way they did Python, you have to initialize this init, double_init, then self, which is itself. Then you define this. So this is where you'll be adding things into, and you can say it's a list, an array. So let's say we want to do the same thing for that push. You just do def, the name of the method, then this self, or whatever thing you wrote, but at least to following the standard is self, then it's expecting an element. So this particular method is expecting 2 things. It's expecting self and element. And what are we doing? So after writing this, inside the parentheses, you add your colon, then you have to indent again and put something like this. So whatever your code is, so self.data.append. So this is a method in Python to append something to a list. In Java, you are pushing it to a list. So in Python, it's slightly different. So if you put the 2 code bases, side by side, you actually understand what is going on. Like I did in Python, in Java, I added comments such that you understand what is actually going on each line of the codes, like every comment. So you understand what is actually going on, such that when you are going through, you understand what is happening. So that about Python and Java. So back to our assignment, which is the main purpose of this session, right? So I did something. All the experiments, I've added them here. So all you just have to do is just to search for them. For experiment 1, just do Ctrl F, experiment 1. If you do experiment 1, you get it here. This is experiment 2. Oh, sorry, experiment 1. So this is experiment 1. Either you write experiment 1 or you write the page where the experiment is, which is page 9. So you get it here. So
yes, can I ask a question?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. According to you said that the focus for the I know you are doing the assignment, but the focus for the exam is 4 experiments. Is it like the experiments already written in the code written in the textbook already, or this assignment experiment?
You and I did this word. You're asking about what's happening in the exam. I wouldn't know. We are post students, so we are just anticipating. We do not know what is going to come out. But according to what the lecturer said, which I wrote out, he said 4 theories of which some would be filling the codes, which means they would, have written the codes for you. Maybe they would omit some parts and you just have to fill in, and it will be from the experiments in the book, according to what he said in class that day. Right?
Okay.
So I wouldn't know. This might be different. Maybe that's the way it is. So the reason why I'm even taking my time to be explaining all this public class Q is because I'm thinking he might just write the whole code and it will just omit public, and you'll not be expecting you to put public. So that's why I'm taking my time to explain. The same thing, he might just write the code and he might omit class, and you'll be expecting you to put the keyword, which is class there. For someone that does not know, like if you don't know the difference between Python and Java, you just be mixing things up. So, and the reason why I'm even emphasizing on these return types, this void and this integer, is because he might deliberately remove them. And you looking at the code, you won't know what to put. That's why I said something like, anywhere you are not returning anything, if there's no return statement, like that keyword return, look at this, return. If there's no return statement in that particular method, just add void, if that is the missing part, right? And anywhere you see a return statement, just look for what is being returned. What is this item is an integer. So definitely this method is returning an integer. So that's why I'm actually spelling those out, such that we would understand. I don't know if I'm making this easier or other. So
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
you're making
yes.
sense.
so, and that's why I'm also pointing out all these written things like public, what it means, and what this means, and how they follow each other, and this one, what it means. And I made mention of something. Look at this push, and look at this pop. They are different. What makes them different is this pop, there is nothing inside these parentheses. But in the push, there are 2 things inside the parentheses. And I'm taking my time to explain, like, whatever you have inside these parentheses must also have a data type. Is this push expecting a boolean or an integer or a string? This is expecting an integer. And the name of the integer can be anything. If this is omitted, these two, assuming these two are omitted, just go into the code base, scroll down and be like, okay, what are they using? Okay, if I scroll down here, I can see Q, rare, where is this rare coming from? And item, where is it coming from? So I can actually say what is missing here could be rare or item. I've narrowed down my answers to 2 things already. Or it could be this N. So then it's not left to me to now think about, okay, what could be missing? But already I can easily get the type. The type here I'm saying +1. So you can only add integer to a number. So definitely this is giving me something like, oh, this is expecting an integer. Then the next thing is what should be there. Is it item? Is it rare? Is it N? So that's left to you. The same thing with this pop. This pop is not returning, okay, it's returning an integer. So if this is missing, right, I can just come down here and look for return statement. Here it's returning -1. And we already know 1 or -1 or +1 or +100 is an integer. So definitely it's returning an integer. Even this item here, if you go through the code base, you'll see it's in item. So definitely this is returning an integer. I'll just put it here. So that's why I'm spelling it out. And the same thing for Python. Python does not return anything, right? But there are some differences. Python does not have all this public something. It just write class and your name, the class name, and that's it. So even if you omit anything here, you're not adding anything because there's nothing else to add. But there are some other things. Look at it might omit this keyword, and you'll be like, oh, for Java we have to write public something. But for Python, it's just def, right? So that is that about. Yes, please. Please.
Okay, read one.
Yeah.
So I noticed while studying, I noticed Java uses semicolon and Python uses colon. Is that like a significant difference?
Yes, I mentioned it earlier on. In Java, if you're writing Java, okay, let me just, my time is going already. Let me just go straight into my code base. So let's say I want to write, let me just write a new file. So I'm going to look for the 2, for both Java and Python. Please, let's limit it. So if I want to write my file in Java, .java, right? So you can see, okay, let me just start from the beginning. Just write public class, right, read one. So if it is Python, let me zoom this out. Yep, I don't know if you can see this. Hello, can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see.
So if it is Python, it will be semicolon. It will be colon. Then you now start writing your code. But if it is Java, it is curly brackets, right? So this means everything you want to do should be inside these 2 brackets. But if it is Python, you don't have to use curly brackets. You use colon. So this colon is telling Python like every code after this colon is to be treated as the class for this. So I don't know if I'm making sense. Okay, this is it. Okay, let's do something. In Python, I wrote class read one. Then I'm writing print. Let's say hello. Yeah. So look at this. In Java, if I want to do the same thing in Java, right? Sorry, read one. Where's that read one? All right. Okay. Let me just put them side by side. So if I want to do the same thing in Java, I'll do class. Then all this my system out. Okay. Let me just say print. Right. Just for peace to ring. So you can see the differences between the 2. They are doing the same thing. Just forget about this. This is wrong actually, but just forget about it. I just want to. I'm driving. What's it called? Somewhere. This and this, they are the same thing. I don't know if you are getting it. The difference there is, in Python, we are not using curly brackets as our block of code. But sorry, in Python. But in Java, we are using curly brackets as our block of code. I don't know if that is making sense. So coming back to this semicolon in Java, for everything you write on a single line, a statement, they call it a statement. For every code statement you write in Java, you must end it with this semicolon. So this is telling the computer that this particular statement ends here, just like when you are writing English and you put your full stop and you continue another paragraph. So you are telling the reader that, okay, once you get to this full stop, just stop. But in Python is dynamic. You don't have to add semicolon in Python. So it is not necessary. It is not needed. In fact, it's a bug, right? So those are just the differences between these 2 guys. Python, you write your class or anything, then if you want to define the operation, you use colon. But in Java, if you want to define the operation and all that, you use your curly brackets. I don't know if that's clear. Hello?
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Okay.
They're making sense. They're making sense.
So that's the differences between the two of them, right? And where do I stop? Okay, so going back to the assignments, the first assignment says, so like I said, you can just search for the pages. So the first assignment is on page 9, right? I did the same thing on Python. If it's an assignment that requires Python code, just look for page 9 here. You can see the same thing. Even when you are reading through, you understand the differences. Look at this one, the queue. It has the class and all that, and definitions and all. Then for Java, it has all this. But let me point something out. When you're writing your assignment, don't write all this comment. It will make it will make it so much like, and you have limited space. So you don't have to write this comment. It's even a waste of time for the sake of the assignment. It's a waste of time. So I just put all these comments here because so that when we are writing, we'll be able to understand what is actually going on, right? The same thing. You can see the comments are different. This one is using hashtag, and this one is using please shoot, please / please shoot, please.
Okay, thank you so much for the explanation so far. I needed to get mine is not it's kind of clarification
Okay.
About the assignment. I saw Barry saying that we only answer 3 of the experiment or the assignment, and I don't know if I'm the one getting it wrong. I think the man said we should answer all the or we should take all the assignments on the textbook. I don't know if that is true or if it is Barry that is true.
No, actually, Barry is correct, but then like I did my own, sometimes what's it called, different strokes for different folks. So for me, because we did experiment 1 and it's there, and I was thinking like, the book is too much for him to mark. You can just open experiment 1 and be like, this is empty, now we just close it, and we assume like nothing is happening. So I did experiment 1. So Barry said we have to do experiment 2, 3, and I think 4, up to the point where we stopped in class. So which is I think experiment 4, right? So as for me, I did up to experiment 4, yes. So because we didn't do all other things, right? So that's where I stopped. So I don't know. So it's not your choice. I did from experiment 1 to experiment 5. Sorry, to experiment 4. So if you want to start from experiment 2, the freedom is it's yours. But like I said, it takes me nothing to the experiment 1, so I added it to it, and that's it. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, it's okay. Thank you.
So yes, please, Mr. Rashid, shoot. 806.
Yeah, good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
Yeah, please, the assignment.
Yeah.
We have experiment 2.
Yeah.
I noticed that it's like I don't know. There's no difference in the question because based on the example already has already been answered to some extent, right?
Okay.
It's just only introducing arithmetic exception into it.
Okay. Actually, I'm sorry to say there is a difference. Yeah.
Is that correct?
There's a difference, yes. So if you check the what's it called? If you check the experiments, it said convert the Python program above to Java program. So which means in the body of that section, that's what's it called? Chapter 2. He has been using Python, so you have to convert that Python to Java, right?
I know, but
Okay.
before when he started,
Yeah.
right, he has already written it in Java before.
Really? Okay, quite. Oh, that's true.
He has already done like that.
Return it back now. Oh, I just
Okay.
return it back. Just follow instruction. The instruction is convert the Python above to Java. Convert it. So for this yeah, just convert it, and that's okay.
Can I say something?
Yes, please.
Yeah, good evening, everyone.
Yeah, good evening.
I think that's different.
Okay.
It's actually asks us to handle arithmetic exception.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
true.
that's
So,
true. Yeah,
That's true.
yeah,
Sure.
it's different. But I'm saying that different number.
Funny enough, my uncle no handle those. Okay, I've seen it. It's handled
It's
it.
not much.
Okay,
And
so
also-
let's go straight so that I won't waste time. Then okay,
Sorry, one more thing.
okay, yeah, please shoot.
So the last
Sorry, please, Ridwan. Well done.
Yeah.
Well done. I have a comment. I want to ask regarding this our assignment.
Yeah.
He said we should throw exception, and then in the textbook he gave 2 scenarios. One, he threw the exception in the lane, and the other one he did that inside one of the methods.
Yeah.
You get my point? I don't know if you
Yes,
get what
I
I'm
get
saying.
your
So
point.
which one of them are we supposed to do? Are we doing both? Or you get
So,
we are just supposed to do one?
well, for me, the thing is, you can there are two differences. Sorry, there's a difference between you throwing and you catching something. Just like you have two people standing, facing each other, and they are throwing things. Right? Someone is throwing something, and someone is catching that thing. So in your main code, you can throw. Then there is a place where you have to catch. You can catch. So the reason why you are throwing an error or something by your service, you already know what is going to happen, and you can catch it later on. But sometimes you don't know what your program might, throw. Maybe out of foresight or something. Let's say you divide 0 by 5. That one is not your own doing; it's your program. And when the program throws that error, you want to catch it so that it doesn't crash your your system. So please go ahead, please. Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay, so I think what he's trying to test there is that he wants us to show him all the possible outcome based on what we get with our D. So obviously we already know that there is this outcome where D less than 0 is going to give us that arithmetic exception.
Yes.
Unlike where we have the equal roots and the real roots that are distinct. So these are the different scenarios. But we know that for this different scenario, there is one that will actually give us an arithmetic exception. And we all know that it is either when your A or B is equals to 0 or your discriminant is less than 0. So he wants us, how will your program handle it? Because those are one of the options. Supposing you were asked to provide A, B, C. So I think that's what he was trying to test.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that's correct actually. If we start to be talking about this exception handling, it's a very broad topic, to be honest. Most especially when it comes to Java, and even it's part of the things you have to write when you are trying to juxtapose. So you write, because the way they handle exception in Java and in Python are kind of different. Even throwing exceptions kind of different. So I don't know. Maybe when you are going through, look at this, like I did for this code base. So this is different handling different exceptions. So maybe when you are going through it, so that we won't waste our time, you'll be able to like see what is actually happening, and well, at least for the exam, that'll be enough. Let's do it here. Yeah, please go ahead, please. We never do it. We want to. Oh, yeah.
Sorry, engineer, which one? Sorry.
Oh, yeah. Please go ahead.
Engineer, read one.
This assignment as a goal because too many questions are coming in.
Yeah,
and
please,
then
please.
kind of-
Okay,
yeah,
after this, we
have
just go.
questions.
After this,
Yes.
we just go, please. After this.
Okay, what I just wanted to ask is, are we writing out the code or we said we should print it and attach it? So which one are we doing?
Hey.
Are we printing? Because I remember I was showing stuff that we should just print and staple it. So are we writing it?
Oh boy. I don't want to. Anything I say is not. This is not representing the lecturer. Not representing me. But according to what I learned, we have to write it out, right? Because how do you even want to print screenshots? That's a lot of. I don't know. But for me, what I did personally is just to write the code out with my pen, with my biro on the book, and that's it. So that is just me. You can just do whatever you think. So that it will be like Ridwan said, the lecturer is something, right? So, and you can also ask Barry for more clarification. Mr. Nick, oh yeah. After this, we'll just go. Yes, please shoot.
Yes, I just wanted to just, everyone, thank you so much for taking the time out. So I just wanted to understand, the assignment. Are we going to write the code, like you said, by hand on the paper being given?
Yeah, like
On the textbook.
according to what is said in class that day, which I jotted down, and this is the implementation part, right? So I don't know if you can still see my screen. So the implementation part, which is in the book, says the code. It said this is where we have to put the code. So I think for me, like I said personally, I used my pen and I wrote the code out on that page. But I think you can just do whatever you think, right? I don't know, because I really don't know. Me, I just want to.
Read one. I beg, no vex. Let's go on. See, it's very obvious that we are meant to write out this thing.
Listen,
Right?
okay.
We are meant to write it out, guys. Let's write it out to be on the safe side. Let's go on.
So I'll just go through the assignment and the experiments. The first one is our experiment number 1, which is on page 9. And they said implement the Q abstract data type in Java and Python. So for Java and Python, which means if you go to this code base, I've written it out. It's starting from here. Sorry, it's starting from here. Anywhere you see this public class and all that. So this experiment is telling you where it's what's got the page, and this is the code base that you have to write. Let me put it that way. Starting from here, and it ends here. And if you can see, I've jumped to another chapter here. So which means you are not adding this to it. You are just stopping there, right? And for all the codes in the book, I'm actually writing out the pages where they occur. So you are writing this. Yeah, what do you say? Hello? Someone say something. Okay.
No, right. I can't see somebody on YouTube.
You can't see my
Just
screen.
right up.
Is my screen showing? I don't know if it's just him or.
Just zoom out a bit.
No, I deliberately
All right.
zoomed in so that we can see the body of the code, right? So it's starting from this experiment 1. I've labeled it experiment 1 on the page. For Java is starting from here and it ends here. So I want to show us a trick that I used to answer my own question and makes it faster. So I'm going there. So this is Java. So then for Python, just search for the page 9. You can see I did the same thing. So the code starts from here till the next page. You can see this is the next page. It has page 27. So you don't have to copy this. So you're copying from here to here. Somebody say yeah. So you're copying from here to here, right? So what I did, So what I did, I actually used ChatGPT to get all these things, which makes life easier. So what I did was I just go to one of the ChatGPT. I use a lot of them. So I just pasted this, right? And I just said, based on the above, use the code base. Okay, let me just do this. Use the below code base to answer. You can talk. The above. You can just talk. Then Java. I just do this for Java. Then I come back to the Java code base, the one I highlighted for experiment 1. I copied everything here, right? Just to be smart. Then Java. Then don't mind it's ugly. Then I wrote Python. Oops. Python. Then I go to the Python for that particular experiment. I copy this and paste it, and I do enter, and I get my what's it called? You can see I have my specification, which is this. You can just pick. You don't have to write everything. Just pick, or you can just clip them together. I don't know if I'm making sense. Then the input expectation, then the analysis. It has done it for me. So I can even do. Sorry, let me do something. Let me even use Canvas. Okay, let me use Canvas. Yeah. So it has written out the specification for me. You can see program requirements, which is the specification. Then the analysis, which is this. Like I said, oops, what happened? Oh god. Sorry, something happened. Maybe my network or something. So I use AI so I did the same thing for all the, what's it called? I'm coming, it's implementing it. Sorry. Because that's the best way to be faster. So we already have things to use. We just have to be smart with it. So the design, this is the design. Then the implementation, which is the provided code base. Then the testing. So the testing is saying, you just write this for your testing, and that's it. Then design issues, which is, you can see Python versus Java, area handling, blah, blah, the design issues. And all. You don't have to write all these, just pick one or two and just write them, and you are good. So I did the same thing for all the thing. So if it is, let's say we are going to experiment 2. I hope nobody will tell the lecturer we use. So for experiment 2, which is on page 31, just come here, search for page 31, right? Okay, 32, sorry. Page 32. So this is it here. Convert the Python clinical to Java, right? So which means this is just Java. You don't have to add the Python code, but you can also add the Python code for ChatGPT to give you the result. So just copy everything here from that first clinic to this last one. Okay, to here, to the next page. So copy everything, then provide it to ChatGPT, GPT or GPT. It's going to provide you with whatever you need. So this is what's it called? Let me just do Java. Right. Then you can also do Python because I did it in Python so that it can juxtapose. So if I go to page 31 here, this is it, page 31. Just copy everything here and feed it to chat GPT. If I'm sending the recording, I won't add this to it so that it seems like somebody just keep it and somewhere else. So just send it and you get your results. It's like not beautiful. So that makes the work easier. One thing is doing the assignments. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yes. So you're saying you just copied the Java and Python, your Gemini AI.
Yes.
And you didn't have to do anything.
No, I wrote something to it though. Look at the first thing I did was writing out all these specifications. I just copied this. I copied this. I put it into. Let me show you what I did. So I copied all my specifications.
Okay,
blah, blah,
okay.
blah. Then I told the chat, what's it called, the chatbot to say use the below code base to answer the above. You can see it.
Okay.
So it provides me with all the things I need. Right. So that's it.
The chat. Thank you.
What is it?
Can you help us send that to the chat, like the definition of specification and the rest?
Okay, so I'll send it. So what you now be doing is just to input the Java code. So what I want to point out is for all the experiments, I've done them here. All you need to do is just to copy it out. So for experiment 3, you can just search for experiment 3. Experiment 3. This is it. Even the page. So just copy the experiment. You can do the same thing for Java, for Python also. Sorry, experiment 3. No experiment 3. Okay, let me see what is on experiment 3. Sorry, what page is experiment 3? Okay, page 44. Okay, this is saying implement the class in Java and Python. I did it now. Maybe it's not. So yeah, I did linear equation. You can also search for the class name, so it's the same thing. Linear equation also. Okay, this is it. Oh, I made a mistake with the experiments. I wrote experiments. Okay, but you can also write the page number to bring it. So I did it a two-factor authentication, right? So just copy this code base.
Hello, everyone. Please,
Yes.
can you share the link to this one?
I've shared it like 1 million times. I will share it again.
Okay, so that's the one you shared before.
Yes.
You know, before you said you wrote all the Java code on one and another one on Python.
Yes.
For Python.
Yeah, this is it.
Okay, that's the one.
You can see I'm switching my tabs. You can see
Okay,
this is
okay.
Python.
Thank
this
you.
is Java.
No problem. I'll take it
So
to another one.
what I'm saying is, if you want to feed the chatbot with to get better results for your specifications and all that, just make sure you copy the Java code and also the Python code side by side and feed it, and it will give you your specification, your analysis and design. So, and I think that solves the what's it called, the issue, and that's it. So I think.
Hello, David.
Yes, I'm with you.
Yeah, the design. I'm saying I thought you said flowchart and UML diagram, but I'm not seeing diagram here.
You know, this chatbot is a free one, so it cannot draw it. So it actually tells you what is happening. You can see flowchart. So it's not left to you to draw it. But it's not difficult now. If you flowchart, you see the flowchart on Google and you see how it
But
works.
read one.
Yeah.
Read one. You know, he said you can either use UML or flowchart. So if flowchart does not go,
They cannot lie.
just
They cannot lie for you. Me, I don't do it before I even see flowcharts. I don't write. My English I
Guy.
write. And that's email too. I just want to pass and move on with life. So that's just Isha. So if there's any question, feel free to ask. I would answer. Yep. So I think we are done. Right. So
Everyone.
yes,
So
ma'am.
for the flowchart part,
Yes.
I'm sure if you tell your boss that on the design you actually want a flowchart, it will actually give you a flowchart.
Now you pay for my
Yeah, you
flowchart.
need to do
Now you pay. Oh yeah. Draw a flowchart. Let's see. I'm using free. Okay. See, it's actually draw it. It cannot draw it.
Did you subscribe to it or
I
you
don't
click on?
subscribe. I don't subscribe.
We don't use
But if you
Gemini
subscribe
diagram.
or not, it will still draw. That's why you're logged in.
ChatGPT will give you the diagram.
I've never
Yeah,
used
that's why you're logged
ChatGPT.
in.
Okay, I've never used
That's
that.
why
I'm
you
using
provide a UML diagram.
Use DeepSeek.
You
this-
specify
ChatGPT will give you.
class diagram.
DeepSeek or ChatGPT will
Yeah,
give you.
ChatGPT will give you the flowchart diagram.
Oh yeah, nah.
That's why you're logged in. If you're assigned out, it will not give you. But if you're logged in, it will give
The
you.
last time I tried ChatGPT, it was
See, none of it will give you. They just
I
provide.
haven't seen him diagram before.
It was
Just-
physics,
No,
but I
it did give me when I did it today. He actually gave me the flowchart.
Okay, unless you now provide for that structure that
don't
produces it
stress,
in an image.
just draw anything. Don't stress yourself for this thing. The main focus should be the
You can,
exam.
you can let's put that
Saturday is there. Before you write
Produce
all
it.
these things there.
in an image.
Thank you, Ridwan. Thank you, everybody.
So I think we are done, right?
No, thank you. That's it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ridwan. Thank you, everybody. God bless you, Ridwan. We love you, Ridwan. Bye.
Thank you.
No, please, no, guys, tell me you lost me. I don't like
Just
that.
to reconfirm, guys, good evening. Good evening.
Yeah, please,
I just want to add something to this, please.
Okay.
Last year during this exam, or sorry, the assignments,
Yeah.
we actually printed the code out and attached it to the what's it called? The textbook.
Yes.
So whether you attach it or you write it out, it all goes.
Okay, thank God.
So that's just that for that.
Thank you for that, sir. Thank you. Printing is expensive.
Mr. Ridwan, is this one recorded?
It's recorded, but this chat GPT something will not be added.
Sorry, we can actually print it and attach it to the textbook.
Okay, just do whatever you like.
No, that guy just said that, but I think someone just said that.
Yes, someone said so, but he said you can write
Yes,
it.
that was last year. That was what we did last year.
Last year, okay.
So it goes for last year. I don't know for this year.
Okay. So I think who said
Okay, boss.
Deep Silk will print? You don't print anything. So I think that's Risha. That's it. So if you have any
It was actually
questions,
this kid for you.
because I
Yeah,
don't
get computer. Your department get computer.
Everyone, remind me for your cabin biscuits.
and the press money, no send biscuit, press money. Yes, please shoot your question, please.
Please, I have a question to ask you.
Yeah, please shoot.
Thank you so much for the time and the effort.
Yeah, please ask the question, please.
So the next one,
Okay.
Please, you're not speaking.
Please.
so
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. I'm meeting the
So the network actually threw me out. So I'm just joining. So I joined when you were talking about the flow charts and UNL.
Okay.
And I think you actually gave you give an idea of how to actually go about the about the code, right? You can copy the code and paste in it. Please, I just want to you can just go like 2 steps back and explain that better.
Okay, on that part, right?
Thank you. Yes,
I beg, let me mute everybody, please. Okay. So what I did, I'll just share my screen again. I hope I'm not on the note part. Yep. Okay. So what I did, right? I wrote this like the instruction from the lecturer, which is all these things. I just copied them because there's no time. So I went to I'm using Gemini. So I just went to Gemini. My internet. What's going on? Sorry. Gemini is actually buggy these days. So I went to Gemini. I pasted this and I wrote the instruction like use the above. You can just use any English. Use the above for the code below. Yep. So I copied my Java code from here. So for example, for experiments, let's say experiment 3. Experiment 3. Experiment 3. So let's say for experiment 3, which is this linear stuff. I copied the code for linear equation. Copied everything. I did Java. Then I did Python. You can do it how you like. This is just me so that the chatbot will understand what is going on. So I did for Python, which is from here. So I copied this code base for Python. Then I put it here also. Then I hit the enter button. So you can see the chatbot has actually generated some useful stuff for me. The specification, which is the program requirements and all. Then the analysis, so which is the input, my output, and what happened inside the analysis. Then it's actually added some things and it added some other things which you might find useful. Then the implementation, you can see it says the code which is as provided, which is the code I fed into it. Then the testing, which is this, and design issues, which is trying to juxtapose between Java and Python. So saying the differences. You don't have to write all this 2020 English, right? You can just be concise. Because the English might be too much for your booklets. So you just pick some. This is so short. Come on. Be brief.
So hello, thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
What
do you say?
I said now.
Yeah. To be honest, I can barely hear you. I
said
no, I can't. You can just type it out instead.
Assignment
was only here.
Excuse me, which one?
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Yes, I was asking when you said use Python and Java, I was going to copy out both of them after writing the code. I was going to copy them out.
By copying them out, is it copying them into your book or feeding them into the chatbot?
Yes, no, the book. That's what I'm saying.
Yes, you have to.
Where we are.
You have to. So like someone said, like you can print it out or you can use your pen and write the codes inside your book. And you have to write them inside this implementation. But there's something I want to point out for everyone, please. If you check experiment 2, there is a space on page 32. For me, I started my code based on that page because the page just there is doing nothing. So I started from there, then I continue from page 36, which is the implementation. So I don't know. But like I said, different strokes for different folks. So you can just do it the way you please. Then I think the book is just to submit and not submit empty book. So I think that's it. So I think the person has actually done it. You're welcome, sir. Can you specify what exactly we are to write in the notebook? Is it just I guess you joined very late. So this is what you have to write in the book. For each experiment, if you check your booklet, you'll see like each experiment has specification, which is blank, analysis, which is also blank, design, implementation, testing, and design issues. So these are the things you have to write. And I said for specification, the lecturer said this is where you have to write your requirements, what is required of the code you are writing, the input, the output, the processing, and all. Then the analysis, you have to discuss the input, the output, and also the processes, and the connection between them, and some calculations if possible. Then the design, this is where you have to use flowcharts, UML, or even use some descriptions. Then your implementation is the code, right, on the page. Then testing is the data you are using to test, and design issue is this. So what I did was, okay, Ridwan has provided the codes for everything, all the experiments. What is now left to you is to get all these things. And for me, I was trying to work smarter, copy this into chatbot, copy my code, my Python code and my Java code into it, and the chatbot gives me all the things I need to write under each of these pages. So I don't know if that's clear.
Yes, it's clear.
Okay, so I think that oops. Okay, so I think that we can call it a day. I need to go and read it. So
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah. Good night.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
Teach automata.
Okay, bye-bye. Thank you very much. You can teach only me automata and I beg now.
I understand automata.
You know, possibly don't understand that.
I mean, right speaking. I don't understand, bro. The thing is, I just understand some things like what is an alphabet, what is a string, what is a symbol, what is a set. Once you understand those things, and the hierarchical something, bro, you are good to go.
Oh, I just want you. Well done. Thank you.
Senior power release question.
That should be Barry, right? Good night.